Chapter 7. What can it mean? Empty, Nancy Drew announced, as she flung open the closet door and looked carefully inside. There's no one here now, at least. Florette, who had been clinging to her sister, relaxed her hold, but continued to gaze uneasily about the bedroom, as though expecting to find the thief in plain sight. I'm afraid it's a case for the police, Nancy said thoughtfully. Oh, we don't want them, Rosemary protested quickly. They will only laugh. We talked to them once about strange things that have been going on here, and they weren't interested. They seemed to think someone was trying to play a joke on us, and they didn't even send a man to investigate, Florette added. If only you will take the case, Miss Drew, Rosemary begged. We'll be glad to pay you well for your work. But I'm not a detective, Nancy protested. We heard about the clever way you helped the Horner girls and Abigail Rowan. Surely you can help us. We need help so desperately. I'll be glad to do anything I can, Nancy promised willingly. But of course I'll not take money. But it wouldn't be fair of us to ask you. I am really tremendously interested in the mystery. I'll have a lot of fun trying to solve it. Whether I can do it or not is another matter. There really are no clues with which to start. If I could spend a night or so here. You're more than welcome to come and visit us if you will, Rosemary told her. But come at your own risk, Florette added. I'll talk with Father this evening and ask him if I may come, Nancy promised. How will you notify us? Florette asked. We have no telephone. Oh, I'll send a note. I think it wise not to advertise the real purpose of my visit. A good idea, Rosemary agreed. Florette and I will take care not to mention it to anyone. Nancy glanced at her watch. I must dash for home now, or Father will be worried to death. Hastily saying goodbye, she left the house and sprang into her roadster. In a few minutes she had reached the main road and was driving swiftly toward River Heights. I've certainly struck a real mystery, she mused thoughtfully, as she drove along the smooth road. The mansion is haunted, all right, but it's haunted by a flesh-and-blood ghost, unless I miss my guess. Nancy Drew had no theory which would explain the strange happenings at the mansion, but if her father granted permission, she planned to stay several days at the house and investigate everything thoroughly. What the search would reveal she had no idea, but she felt certain she would unearth valuable clues. I'll go home and try to piece things together, she told herself. That's what a regular detective would do. It was after dark when Nancy finally reached home. She flashed into the garage with a skill born of long practice and hurried guiltily toward the house. As she expected, her father had reached home ahead of her. Nancy, I've been worried about you, he began. Don't scold, Nancy begged. I tried not to break my promise, but I couldn't help it this time. Oh, I had the most exciting afternoon. But exciting adventures are hard on poor old Dad, Mr. Drew chided. When you didn't get back, I thought perhaps you had had car trouble on the road. I was about ready to start after you. I'm terribly sorry. Honestly, I am. Nancy looked so genuinely sorry that Carson Drew promptly forgave her. Tell me about your adventure, he suggested. Oh, I met two of the dearest ladies. They're rather eccentric, but, oh, so charming and nice. And you call that an adventure? And Mr. Drew smiled. Of course not. I haven't reached the adventure part of it yet. These ladies live in a haunted house. Of course it isn't really haunted, but strange things are going on there, and they want me to find out what's what." Breathlessly, Nancy poured out her words. "Not so fast." Carson Drew stopped her. "I can't make head or tail of what you are saying. You met two ladies who live in a haunted house which really isn't haunted. That doesn't make sense." "Oh, you lawyers are so particular about facts." Nancy sighed. Beginning at the first of the story, she related everything which had happened at the Turnbull mansion. Her father listened quietly until she had finished. "I've heard a great deal about the Turnbull sisters," he remarked. "They come from an excellent family. I believe the mansion has belonged to the Turnbulls ever since it was built." "It would be a tragedy to Miss Rosemary and Miss Florette if they had to sell the place now, Dad. I want so badly to help them. They have invited me to visit them, and I'd like to do it. May I?" "I don't know what to say, Nancy. From what you've told me, I am inclined to believe there may be danger in visiting that house." "I'll be careful, Dad. It won't be any worse for me to sleep in that house than it is for Rosemary and Florette Turnbull." "But you're my daughter." "If you had been assigned to the case, you wouldn't hesitate to stay there at night, would you?" "No," Carson Drew admitted reluctantly, for he saw that Nancy was neatly cornering him. "And you've often said you wanted me to grow up self-reliant and brave." Carson Drew threw up his hands in resignation. "You win, Nancy. Your eloquence would convince a jury." "When may I go?" "Well, let me see. This is Monday." Mr. Drew considered the desk calendar. "I'll be leaving for Chicago myself Thursday." "You're going to Chicago? I didn't know that." "Yes, on a business trip. The matter just came up this afternoon. I'll be gone about a week." He looked speculatively at Nancy. "Wouldn't you like to go along?" "Oh, of course, but if I do, I wouldn't get to visit the Turnbull sisters." "Are you willing to give up the trip for the chance to ferret out this mystery?" "Oh, yes." Carson Drew sighed. "I guess you're a born detective, Nancy." "Well, since your heart is set on it, I'll give my consent. You may visit the Turnbulls while I am gone." "A whole week?" "Yes, if you like." "Goody, goody!" Nancy pranced wildly about the room. Carson Drew laughed. "I hope you catch the ghost if it will make you happy." Then the smile faded from his lips. "You'll not run into danger?" "Not if I see it first." "Seriously, Nancy, you'll be careful, won't you?" "Of course." Carson Drew crossed the room and paused in front of his desk. Unlocking a drawer, he took out a shiny object and handed it to his daughter. "Your revolver, Dad?" "Yes, I want you to take it with you." "But I shan't need it." "I hope not, but it pays to be prepared. I'll feel better if I know you have it. The mansion ghost may turn out to be a livelier one than we expect." Carson Drew spoke half-jestingly, little suspecting that his observation was a true prophecy. End of Chapter 7.